What is up, guys? Fahir here from AwesomeTuts.com. In the previous video, we have programmed our snail. Now, we do need to drag the snail into the prefabs folder. So go into the prefabs, right click and create a new folder, which I'm going to call enemy prefabs. And simply we are going to drag and drop the snail right here. Now, we still have some things to add in the snail script right here, but we cannot do that before we do some other things, such as make the player shoot, because when the player starts shooting, we will add here new code to detect that shooting and kill the snail when it's hit with that player bullet. But before that happens, now we are going to move forward and create our beetle. So go inside of our sprites and in the enemies, and here it is, the beetle dude. So you know that this is a multiple sprite because it's a sprite sheet. So set the sprite mode to multiple. Go into the sprite editor and click on slice. Click slice again, and bam, we have sliced the little beetle. You see here we have sliced it. So let's go here. It is sliced. I'm gonna hit apply. And the next thing to do is create the animation for the beetle. Now, of course, you should create a new folder right here in animations. Right click. Here we're gonna say beetle animations like this. Go back in our sprites folder and in the enemies, and here is the beetle. So select all of the images except the last one. So the last one, the 8th one, is when the beetle dies. This one, so from 0 up to 7, is the walk animation for the beetle. So drag and drop it right here, and bam, you will be prompted where to save it. I'm gonna save it in animations, beetle animation. This is gonna be our beetle. So beetle walk, and I'm gonna hit enter, and bam, here we are. Now, before we add components, resize the beetle, do everything else, let us create the, stunned animation. So select here, actually not the animator, but the animation panel. Select here, so select the beetle in the hierarchy. Click on the drop-down list. We've done this before. So here you have the current animation, which is the beetle walk. Click on the drop-down list, create a new clip, and this is going to be our stunned. It's really important to name it same like this right here, because in our code, right here, we're going to use the same code for the beetle. So this snail script will also be attached on the beetle. So here, this stunned, make sure that the name of the animation is like that. So STUNNED. Click save, and bam, here we are. Let me just drag and drop this last frame where the beetle is stunned, and we are done. So the next move is to rename the beetle in the hierarchy. So simply rename it to beetle. We need to tag it with the beetle tag. So go here in tags, add a tag, and click on the plus button. I'm gonna name it beetle. Select the beetle again and name it or tag it with the beetle tag. Resize it, 0.3 on X, 0.3 on Y. Add a box collider to it. It's a box collider. Also, add a rigid body to it. And we need to attach the snail script. So snail script will be attached on our beetle. For the player layer, we are going to select the player layer as always. Now for the collisions, left, right, top, and down, we need to create these. So select the beetle in the hierarchy, right click, create empty, duplicate it 3 times because we're going to have the left collision, we're going to have the right, top, and down collision. So the first one is going to be left collision, and the position for it on the X is going to be -1.1, and for the Y, I'm going to say -0.5. The next one is going to be our right collision, and the position of the right collision is going to be for the X 1.18 and for the Y -0.5. We are also going to have the top collision, so here we're going to say top collision like this. For the position of the top collision, we are going to say 0.9 on the Y-axis. X-axis is going to stay the same. And the last one is going to be down or bottom collision, however you want to name it. So bottom collision. Now for this one, the x is going to be at -1 and the y is going to be at -1.1, which is somewhere around here, as you can see, because we are going to use the same technique as we did with our snail. So our beetle, it's going to move left and right. When it detects that it cannot move anymore, bam, it's going to change the direction and start moving in another, well, direction. And we're going to test that in a second. Before we do that, let's drag and drop these game objects at appropriate spots. So for the left collision, drag and drop the left collision. For the right collision, name tells it all, drag and drop the right collision, top collision. And lastly, we have the bottom collision. Now, in order to check if you added all these game objects at the correct places, simply click on them right here in the hierarchy. So left collision is here, it's pointing to the left collision. Right collision, it's okay. Top collision, okay. And bottom collision, it's okay. Let me select the ground like this and move it here. And I'm gonna resize it, something like this. Probably I'm gonna resize it more just so that we can test it out if our script works actually on the beetle game object. So I'm gonna put it right here and deactivate the snail for the moment because we don't need the snail. We just wanna see if our script works on the beetle. Bam, it does indeed, because the code is the same. We have explained everything when we created our snail, and the same principles apply to the beetle. We just applied the same script, we applied the same game object, same collision detection, and voila, you see that the beetle has now its own functionality. Now, let me select the beetle here, move it down. We do need to go in our code and add some things. You see here we have the beetle code that we need to add, and that code is simply going to detect if this is a beetle, then we are simply gonna, well, kill that game object. In our tags, right here, we are gonna create some more tags. So we're gonna say public static string, and we're gonna say beetle. So beetle tag, it's gonna be equal to beetle like this. And going back into the snail script, here where it says beetle code, we are going to test if the tag of the current game object is equal to my tags beetle. Now, this tag right here refers to the game object that carries this script. It's the same thing as if we say if game object.tag, meaning if the game object that is currently holding this script and the tag of it, it's equal to the beetle tag. So we can omit this game object and we can simply say tag, which will access the tag property right here. As you can see, it's set to beetle, but it is referring to the game object who has this script attached on it. So if the tag is the beetle, what we want to do, well, we want to call here anim dot to play the stunt animations. We're going to call here play, and we're going to say stunned like this to play the stunned animation. And we are going to start a coroutine that we're going to call dead, that we still did not create, but we are going to do that right here. A coroutine is a function that delays the execution. So we are simply going to say here I enumerator dead like this. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to say yield return new wait for seconds, and we're going to wait 0.5 of a second, and we're going to call game object set active to false. And voila, this is it. This is going to kill the beetle. Now, of course, here where we are adding the velocity to the game object, we also need to check if the tag of the game object is not equal to my tags.beetle tag. This is just a precaution because we are going to test if the tag is not the beetle tag, meaning this is actually the snail, because beetle does not have that same functionality in terms of when we jump on it, then we will stun it and then we can push it on the sides. No, that is only with the snail, but the beetle does not have that functionality. When we touch the beetle from the top, we jump on it, the beetle is gone for good. And here, let me just copy and paste the line of code, copy this line of code and paste it right here. And we have the same exact, well, lines of code right here, except that here we are adding -15, but here we are adding 15 to push the snail in the correct direction. Again, here, simply, we're testing if the tag of the current game object is not equal to the beetle tag, which means it's our snail. If it's not the beetle, it's the snail who carries also the script, then push it. If it's not stunned, you see here, or actually if it is stunned. If it's not stunned, we will apply damage, but if it's stunned and it's not the beetle, push it. So this is what we are doing. And let me just demonstrate that. So if we go here, hit the play button, you see now the beetle is going here. Now notice when I jump on the beetle, bam, we kill it. You see, we kill it. We don't wait for it there and then we can push it on the left or push it on the right. No, that is the functionality only to the snail. You see here, only to the snail. So we have the beetle. And if I jump on the snail, bam, this is the functionality we have for the snail. We can push it, but the beetle, bam, it's gone. Snail can be pushed as we just saw. That's why we added those extra couple of lines of code, this one right here, to detect if it's not the beetle, then push it. Same thing right here. If it's not the beetle, push it. And here we are calling our coroutine dead if it is the beetle to actually kill the beetle. And in fact, we can use that same coroutine to call it right below here after we push our snail. It will deactivate itself well, in a given time period. But what we are going to do here for the dead coroutine, we are simply going to pass a float timer. Instead of using 0.5 here, I'm simply going to say timer. And we can go here for the beetle, pass 0.5. And here for our snail, after we push it, let's say after, I don't know, let's say 3 seconds. So after 3 seconds, when we push it, it will deactivate itself and pass that same line of code right here. So after we push our snail, when it's been stunned and we push it, 3 seconds after that, it will die because, well, we don't want it to be in our game when it is killed and we have pushed it. It does not have any more functionality and voila, that is that. Now, in order to test it out, let me just go here, clear the console. I'm gonna deactivate the beetle itself and only have the snail so that we can see that eventually it will deactivate itself. So bam, if I go here, let me just push it and go now into the, let's see, will it deactivate? Yeah, you saw it. It is now deactivated and you can see here inside of the hierarchy panel, it is not active. You see this checkbox here right below the inspector, it is not checked. So when this checkbox is not checked, that means that this game object is not active. So this was for the Beetle Enemy in our game. Fahir here from AwesomeTuts.com. See you guys in the next video.